Next day. Now, obviously, I could have just done this off camera, but you know, in the interest of producing interesting video, I'm going to reveal what's happened to our little strip of wood overnight. It's exciting stuff. And drum roll, please. Well, that's flat. Oh, that's not bad at all. That is not bad at all. Hang on, I'm just going to have to put that back. That's not bad. Is it perfect? Well, actually, not far off, I'd say. That is a real great result. Really great result. Celebratory cup of coffee, I think. And we'll let that. I'll try and get it glued on, because it's obviously it's going to dry out a bit more. Because I put the damp cloth in there. Will it dry in this shape, or will it return to its warped shape? Who knows? I will. Well, the rest of the day I'm going to try and just get the whole thing ready, glued all back together again. Give it a bit of time to dry, and we'll see what happens. If it goes out of shape, I'll just have to use some filler. You know, well, it's not a playing violin. It might be. You know, I'm doing everything I can to maintain it as a possible squealer. There's no Stradivarius, but if it can make some noise, that'd be interesting. Right, cup of coffee time. This is where I find out that the audio on the camera didn't record because the microphone wasn't plugged in properly. So I'm going to have to do something I've never done before, which is a director's commentary of the track, and try and guide you through what I'm saying. Anyway, so I've glued all the sides back into place, and I've put all the kerfing in around the bottom. That shape is taken up, you know, where the wood was warped. It's all nice now. I'm showing you the top of the guitar, which I've used a heat gun on just to start taking off the shellac. And what was useful before I took the shellac off of the top, when I was gluing the sides back on, I could use the crusty bits that were left over the shellac to help position the side back into position, and then glue it in. And so I've got the top kerfing to go in now. So I've just got to glue that in. What am I saying? I might be saying something really interesting to you right now. I can't remember what it was I said. Anyway, so the interesting bit is going to be trying to get the top back on again. I think I'm talking about here. yeah, getting it all lined up and positioned. Very tricky. And of course it needs to be clamped, forced into position, because the there's quite a bit of warpage in the old violin. Yes, so the you can see there's quite a lot of play in that. So yes, it's going to be interesting. It was going to be interesting. I've already done it now, so I can speak to you with hindsight. But yeah, interesting. So here's my kind of plan on how I'm going to glue this back together again. That point at the end there, where the neck is, that is my reference point. There's it broke there in the original piece, so but it all snicks back together. That point is where it is. That's where it goes, and that's my main point where I'm going to glue the whole thing together. So I've set the neck along that lump of wood, and I'll clamp it down, and then I'll wedge underneath the other end to lift it up, to bring the whole body together and get the neck angle, because obviously because that back piece isn't on the body, the neck has like a tendency to bow the wood in the wrong direction. So that's my plan. So here I'm just preparing to glue in the top pieces of kerfing. Again, I'm just going to use super glue. Obviously when this guitar was originally built, it was probably glued together with something much more exotic. I don't know what kind of glue they'd used, but it certainly wasn't super glue, it wasn't epoxy, it wasn't tight bond. It would have been something else. Maybe animal hide glue, I don't know. But super glue is going to do the job in this case. If you are rebuilding a Stradivarius, super glue is probably not the best adhesive to use. It's not a traditional glue, but it's certainly good enough for this. I mean, look at the state of that kerfing. It's horrible. It's just a strip of crap wood. But it's going to do the job. What the kerfing does is this helps strengthen the sides, and also gives the top and bottom part of the sides a bit more of a glue bond with the top and bottom pieces of the violin. So I'm just gluing and clamping as I go. So that's both sides of the kerfing now glued. I'll just have to make sure they're all nice and level. That part there, which was re-glued in, is protruding a little bit, and rather than attack it with some sandpaper or chisels or anything like that, because it's kind of an end grain, I'm just going to take it down, just take it down a little bit using my power file. It seems like an aggressive tool to use, but it's probably the easiest way to do it without disturbing the joins too much. Obviously you have to be careful not to to make sure that you're always sloping away from the front edge, because you don't want the power file to catch that side and take it down at all. But and so with that done, I'm just go around with the sandpaper, just make sure that the kerfing meets the top of the side there. So it's a nice clean join when it gets glued back onto the top, or bottom. It's the bottom part we're fixing back on here. So here I'm prepping a three-way clamp, so I can firstly clamp it to the bit of wood that's going to be supporting the violin, and the top clamp will push down and hold that point of the neck, which is my I keep calling it a reference point, but it's the point in the violin which I know exactly where it has to be, and that will be my starting point. So I'm just lining it up, make sure it's in the right place. As you can see, until you actually get the third clamp down, it's a bit wobbly. But it's going to do the job. So I'm going to be gluing the bottom of the violin using Gorilla Glue, polyurethane glue. It's an expanding glue, so it has gap filling properties. So really strong glue. And so I'm just working it in underneath that block of wood where the neck is, because that's broken free. I'm also making sure I'm putting some on the supporting peg in the middle of the violin, putting it on now, because you never know, I'll probably forget later. So I've just got to work it around all the edges. And I'm just going to use a bit of card, just spread it around. So in we go with the back of the violin. Now, as you see, as I tighten that clamp up, you can see the separation, the body, the amount that I need to start wedging that back up to meet. Now, the whole thing about this is it would have been getting the neck angle right on the violin. There's correct measurements to get that neck angle. Obviously, in this case, I'm kind of doing it in a reverse direction, because I need to make the body go back together the way it should be. If the neck angle isn't right, the neck angle isn't right. It's as simple as that. But there's only one way that this can go back together. Could be a fraction out. So I've just got to make sure it's evenly spaced all around. Then I can start putting the clamps on. Obviously, I'm just trying to get as much of the pressure of the clamps along the edges. I don't want to put undue pressure on the main back of the guitar on the wrong side. I want to be pushing down where that side bit of wood and the kerfing strip is. That's where I want all the pressure. I'm doing a fine adjustment on my my wedge, because I noticed that those, I don't know what you call it, but that the pointy bit on the violin was just a little bit too far forward. So I'm happy with them. Clamp them down with my dirty, dusty, cobwebby clamps. Well, they're not even clamps, but they're for getting this down into the right position. They're more than strong enough. That side is a tricky side because there's also another bit of distortion in the wood on that side. It's angling away slightly, so I've got to try and push that side in. What I'm first hoping for is that I can clamp it down there, and the clamp will be strong enough to hold it in the position that I want the shape to be. It doesn't work exactly. I have to go in with further clamps to pull that bit of wood in. Now it's pointing the wrong way, so you can't really see what I'm trying to do. I do turn the entire thing around to try and show you that part a bit more, but once all the clamps start going on there's very little to see apart from clamps. So here you can see I'm using the nice long clamp from my Keta table. Just using that to try and pull that troublesome side round, and so I'm not putting the pressure along the top and bottom edges, and I'm actually putting pressure on to the actual side bit of wood. I've got a little bit of hardboard in there, which will probably keep falling out as I try to place it. So the pressure is now on the troublesome part of the side, as opposed to the top and bottom pieces, front and back, top and bottom, whatever you want to call them. So there you go. I turn it around to try and show you a bit more detail what's going on in the troublesome area. Well, a complete waste of time because you still can't see anything. So as you can imagine, from this point on, it's just adding more and more clamps, as many as I've got lying around, and I can actually get in to the violin. And then it was a case of just letting the glue do its gluing. Okay, so this has been gluing for several hours now, and so let's unclamp it all, see how it looks. That'll be a fine way to end today, if it bloody worked. If it didn't work, we're a bit buggered really, because it'd be a nightmare to try and unglue it. as I put my glue lid back on. Naughty man. Nice big pile of clamps. Right. Let's have a look. Oops. Yeah, you got some spill out here. Oh, you know what? I would say is better in some places than others. But generally, it's back together in one piece, and more or less the right shape, more or less. Cool. That's great. Well, nice way to end today. Catch you on the next one.